Well, thank you. I'm pleased to be here. So yes, my name is Rick Nobel. Recently joined the Embassy of the Netherlands as Agriculture Counsellor, coming in from India. So a completely different environment and a completely different country. I want to thank AIPH for the opportunity for me to speak, to be here and to be introduced to your interesting world, well, our world. And I'm also impressed by the previous speakers, Dr. Park, Mr. Lim, so Mr. Song. A lot of information that is in my presentation has already been shared, but sometimes it takes repeating a message for it really to stick. And I was really impressed by the presentation by Mr. Song. It's good to see fellow young people, whether you're a diplomat or a grower, and yes, your English is perfect. So I'm happy to be in Suncheon, and it was also a beautiful experience seeing the Dutch garden here at the Suncheon Garden Expo. So whenever I'll be homesick the coming 4 years, I don't need to go home. I just come to Suncheon and I feel right at home. So that was a beautiful experience. And I'm also happy to see the theme Greening the City, which was part of the Floriade Expo in the Netherlands last year. And it's something we should take forward in the years to come, as it helps us cooling cities, make them more livable, and in green cities, people feel more in touch with their surroundings, and I also think they're generally happier. And yeah, plants and flowers are most extraordinary things coming from our soil. They remind us of the value and wealth of nature, and well, the earth loves in flowers. So I salute the mission of AIPH. Promoting the place of plants and flowers in people's lives is a noble job. And what I appreciate about what I heard yesterday is the attention that is given to major challenges in today's world. Sustainability is on the agenda. Many growers wish to provide quality produce that is produced sustainably, and an increasing amount of consumers care for the footprint of the produce they buy. Our friends from the Netherlands, from Flora Holland, will later today speak elaborately about footprinting. So I advise all of you to stay for that session. We all have a role to play, and it's good that organizations are stepping up. So I will be speaking briefly about developments in the Korean markets. The embassy has been in contact with Korean and Dutch stakeholders in the sector and commissioned a study on the Korean floriculture markets in 2019. I will briefly discuss general trends in production, consumption that were already touched upon partly, and trade. Right. So brief overview of the Netherlands and its agri-food and horticulture sector. So we're the second largest exporter of agri-food products in the world, but I would like not to only focus on that, but more the innovative power of the Netherlands. So the cooperation between knowledge institutes, business and the government has provided for a very powerful and innovative sector that goes beyond the mere numbers of being the second largest exporter of agri-food products in the world. Essential to that is the Agriculture University of Wageningen. The agri-food complex is 8.3% of GDP and 10% of employment, 19% of total exports, and we're actually the largest exporter of flowers. Well, comparing the Netherlands and Korea is comparing apple and pears, of course, like comparing the sectors of most countries. But a few interesting things here. I think in both countries, the average age of farmers is relatively high, especially in Korea, it's a challenge. So once again, happy to see a young farmer here. Also, the available agricultural land is relatively much higher in the Netherlands. Well, if you've traveled through Korea, you've seen that 70% of the country is mountains. Also, the number of agriculture employees in Korea is much higher than in the Netherlands. And it is increasingly difficult to attract people to work in the agriculture and horticulture sector. So automation and investing in technology is the need of the hour. Some takeaways from all these big numbers. So as I said, in 2019, the embassy commissioned a study on the floriculture sector in Korea. I'll talk about some of the outcomes. You might recognize a few numbers and graphs already. So in 2019, as discussed before, the situation was as follows. There had been a drop in flower consumption and production for the last 15 years. The export of Korean cut flowers had dropped. And as touched upon in a previous presentation, the Korean government stepped up with the Flower Industry Development Act to turn the tide around. Historically, there's been challenges with the export of Dutch flower bulbs to Korea due to phytosanitary issues, but I'll touch upon that later. And also, as background to my job and why I'm here, is sustainable agriculture is a priority in the Dutch policies. So this presentation is aimed on trade, but also trade that is oriented on developing the local industries. So not only selling flowers, plants, but also seedlings, propagation materials, and infrastructure to grow. Greenhouses, climate computers, but also maybe in the future, cold chain infrastructure. Here's some details of the study. The study can actually be found online, so I won't delve into this. And it's good to mention that we had great support from Korean experts that are also present here. So the Korean Florist Association and the Korea Rural Economic Institutes. That's why some of the information was already shared in other presentations, because this study was actually conducted jointly. So as you can see, I won't spend too much time on these graphs. After around 2005, the per capita consumption of ornamental plants has gone down. Same for the cut flower area and production. This is an interesting one. It shows the number of high-tech glass houses in Korea, the area. And there's quite a difference between vegetables and ornamental plants. So you can see that the development of high-tech infrastructure is much lower in the floriculture sector. In previous presentations, the major plans have been touched upon already, so I won't spend too much time on this. So now we come to the reasons of the flower recession. An interesting one is that the Korean flower consumption was mostly oriented on ceremonial use. So ceremonies, weddings, but also an interesting one mentioned in the third bullet, Anti-Bribery Act. Plans were often used to congratulate people on their new jobs, also government officers. And this was banned with the Anti-Bribery Act, which actually caused a drop in sales. And also important to mention, the daily home use culture is only 20%, because a lot of the flowers have don't have a long vase life. That's an important takeaway. And the demographics also play a role, because there's a decrease in the population of young people that are the main consumers, especially when it comes to new trends. And also there has been a decreasing trust in prices and quality of local flowers, and soaring cut flower imports. Yeah, this underlines the demographic developments and the age breakdown in Korea. So, some recommendations when it comes to production. The farm holdings are relatively small. Well, at the same time, energy and labor costs are going up. The combination of these factors make investors less eager to step in. And in the meantime, Other countries are emerging as flower exporters, so competition is firm. Also, producers in Korea focus on the moment of ceremony for ceremonial use of flowers without much attention to vase life or home use. So, for the way forward, innovation is the need of the hour, skill improvement of farm holdings, which also easier would attract investment, especially if production is targeted to new market concepts and sustainability. When it comes to logistics, there is a will to win. For instance, when it comes to operating the auctions, that is done by the government, but bringing in farmers and growers to the governmental auction operation can create a momentum to further develop the industry. Additionally, in order to meet needs of changing consumer preferences, cold chain infrastructure needs to be improved for longer vase life. Independent flower quality evaluation systems can also be further developed. And low awareness on quality and post-harvest management are also playing a role, and training courses can be developed, maybe jointly with institutes from the Netherlands to address this. And then looking at consumption, it has been discussed in length already. Income has been increasing in Korea for a long time, and surprisingly, unlike in most countries around the world, flower consumption hasn't risen in sync with that trend, but that seems to be changing now. So e-commerce and flower subscription are game changers. The influence of social media is big. Instagram sells, especially to my generation, as well as flower visibility in K-culture, K-drama, K-pop. So as you have seen in some of the graphs, the growing cut flower imports are happening. This has to do with the dissatisfaction with the quality of local cut flowers, mainly due to the short vase life, and the high cut flower prices. For example, in the case of roses, the price is 50% higher than in Aalsmeer at Flora Holland in the Netherlands. And on top of that, young consumers need new varieties, types, and colors. Coming to trade opportunities. Yeah, these are some graphs showing the developments we've already discussed. So the decline in ornamental plant exports, the rise in ornamental plant imports, the South Korea flower bulb imports. There's been a stark increase in 2017 because a new testing protocol was negotiated, so it was easier to import flower bulbs from the Netherlands. So that has been very beneficial to trade. Also, the live plants imports have been increasing over the past years, especially from China. And the cut flower imports have been starkly increasing for the mentioned reasons. Looking at the main trade partners, for roses, Colombia and Ethiopia, carnation, Colombia, orchids from Thailand, chrysanthemum from Vietnam and China, and others, such as tulips, from the Netherlands. And the main export destination remains Japan. So summarizing the trade opportunities, they are large when it comes to cut flowers, as consumers are dissatisfied with local cut flowers and the high prices. Wishes of young consumers demand new varieties, types, and colors. Longer vase life will also be essential in convincing people that flower consumption is not a waste of money. That was mentioned in one of the earlier presentations. Companies from the Netherlands are active in exporting flower bulbs to Korea, such as lily bulbs. And also there is substantial export of roses and landscaping trees, as mentioned by Mr. Song. However, aside from trade in these products, we also focus on trade that enhances local production. As mentioned, propagation material, greenhouse infrastructure, and perhaps in the future, cold chain infrastructure, as well as energy efficiency in greenhouses. Development of production of high quality, lower cost, long phase life locally will benefit growers and consumers. This is also especially relevant from the perspective of food printing. Also, e-commerce can play a big role for the development of a high-tech industry, because it's easier to differentiate your products in an online app or on a website than in a real-life shop, with bigger attention for sustainability. So, thanks for your attention. The report I've been talking about is available online, and also on request I could forward it to you. Well, the agriculture team of the Netherlands will continue to work with the public and private sector on opportunities in the floriculture sector in Korea. So don't hesitate to reach out to us for more information or any areas for cooperation. It can also be landscaping and developing green cities. So, thank you. Kamsahamnida.